So let's talk about a problem that every single successful SaaS company hits. It's inevitable. We're talking about scaling storage. Today, we're diving deep into architecting multi-tenant storage specifically on Google Cloud Platform, and we're going to map out the exact patterns you need to know to get this right.
Imagine this. Your SaaS app, it's a hit. The signups are pouring in, the user count is just ticking up, and suddenly you are facing a fantastic problem to have. How on earth do you manage the data for 10,000 or maybe even 100,000 different customers and do it securely and efficiently? You know, this isn't just some textbook exercise. This is the real core challenge of scale. For this explainer, I want you to step into the role. You are the architect. You're in the hot seat. And the choices you're about to make about your data storage strategy, well, they're going to echo for years. They'll impact your performance, your security, and your ability to grow. So let's make sure we get it right.
Okay, before we can even begin to build a solution, we have to be speaking the same language. So first up, let's decode multi-tenancy. This is the concept that really underpins the entire SaaS model.
So what is it, really? At its heart, multi-tenancy is all about sharing. You have one piece of software, one set of infrastructure, and it's serving tons of different customers. We call them tenants. But, and this is the absolute non-negotiable part, their data has to be kept completely, totally separate. It's kind of like the art of creating private, soundproof apartments inside one big building.
All right, with that foundation set, let's get to the main event. This is the core of your decision. When you're on Google Cloud, you've got several very different paths you can take for your multi-tenant storage. We're going to walk through 4 of the key patterns, and we'll start with the most simple one.
Okay, path number 1. We'll call this the all-in-one approach. It's the most straightforward way to get started. You create one single Google Cloud storage bucket, and then you just use folder-like prefixes inside that bucket to keep each tenant's data separate. Think of it like a giant filing cabinet where each customer gets their own labeled drawer.
And right away you see the classic trade-off. On one hand, this is so simple to start. I mean, one bucket and you're basically done. But all the complexity is just hiding under the surface. You're going to have to write these incredibly precise, almost painfully granular IAM policies to make absolutely sure tenant A can never ever peek into tenant B's data. And you're always just one power user away from a noisy neighbor problem where one customer's heavy usage slows everything down for everyone else.
So what if we do the complete opposite? Path number 2 flips that first model on its head. Instead of one bucket that everyone shares, we give every single tenant their very own dedicated cloud storage bucket.
Now, this is a huge win for isolation. Security becomes way simpler because the walls are literally part of the infrastructure. But that simplicity can start to crack when you scale. See, GCP projects have hard limits on the number of buckets you can even create. And just imagine the operational headache of trying to manage thousands and thousands of individual buckets. It can get overwhelming fast.
Let's switch gears. What if your SaaS is all about analytics? What if your tenants need to crunch massive amounts of data? Well, for that kind of workload, we turn to BigQuery. The pattern here is to give each tenant their own separate data set right inside of BigQuery. This is really the gold standard for multi-tenant analytics. You get this powerful table-level control over everything. You can manage query costs, you can manage permissions on a per-tenant basis. It's fantastic. The downside? Well, it's a more complex beast to tame. Both the setup and the potential costs are higher. But for the right analytics workload, it is absolutely unbeatable.
And that brings us to our 4th path, the most extreme form of isolation. This is for those rare, high-value tenants who need guaranteed, top-tier, unshakable performance for their specific workloads, completely walled off from everybody else.
We're talking about giving a tenant their very own dedicated block storage with a persistent disk or a super high-performance file system with file store. Performance is absolutely guaranteed. There are no noisy neighbors here. But that guarantee comes with a very premium price tag. This isn't a solution for everyone. It's a strategic scalpel you pull out for your most demanding, high-value customers.
So, we've seen the 4 paths you can take, but now we have to talk about the 2 monsters that live on all of them: security risks and that dreaded noisy neighbor.
This right here, this cuts to the absolute heart of the choice you're making. It's really one of 2 philosophies. Are you building silos where every tenant gets their own piece of the infrastructure that's super secure and simple to reason about, but it's expensive? Or are you going with a pooled model where tenants share resources but are separated by software logic? That's way more efficient, but it puts enormous pressure on your code and your IAM policies to be absolutely perfect. So no matter which path you choose, these are your primary weapons. Identity and access management, IAM, policies are your digital locks and keys. You have to get these right. And for those tenants who demand the ultimate level of control, customer-managed encryption keys, or CMAC, allow them to literally hold the only key that can decrypt their own data. It's a powerful feature.
Let's just define this enemy clearly, because it's so important. The noisy neighbor is that one tenant who decides to run a massive report or upload a huge data set. And in doing so, they consume so many shared resources that it slows down the entire application for every other tenant. It is the classic problem of any shared model, and you have to architect your system to prevent it.
Okay, we've explored the landscape, we've navigated the dangers. Now let's distill all of this down into 3 practical, actionable blueprints that you can take from this and apply directly to your own project. Here it is, your cheat sheet. Look, if you're an early-stage app and all your customers have pretty similar data needs, start with a shared bucket. Just become absolutely obsessed with your IAM rules. If you need really strong isolation, or maybe you want to offer custom features for different tenants, go with per-tenant buckets, but have a plan for how you'll manage them as you grow. And finally, if analytics is the heart and soul of your SaaS, the per-tenant BigQuery dataset model was literally purpose-built for you.
So just focus on these 3. Seriously, these are the core patterns that are going to solve 99% of the multi-tenant storage challenges you'll face on GCP.
And that brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. Making a choice that works for today, that's the easy part. The real challenge, the mark of a great architect, is making a choice that not only works now, but gives you a clear path forward, a path to serving your next 10,000, your next 100,000, or maybe even your next 10 million users. Always think ahead.